What tough decision do you think Tillerson was facing before he visited Ankara? And did you think that he achieved anything after the meeting or the meetings?
The main immediate difference is the United States is focusing on defeating ISIS by recapturing the city of Raqqa, which is seen by the United States as the main base for Islamic State terrorism activities in Europe and elsewhere. The Turkish government would also not has no problem with that, but objects to the means that the U.S. is using, which is basically the U.S. is trying to work with really the only military force that is allied with it in the region, which is a Kurdish-dominated Kurdish Arab fighting force, the YPG. And the Turkish government believes that this group is too closely affiliated with the anti-Turkish terrorist affiliate based in Turkey and elsewhere, the PKK. And so the Turks do not want the United States to train, collaborate with, or work with this group to help it seize Raqqa. They want the U.S. to turn to work with some alternative force. But for now, military expediency is keeping the U.S. focused on that. And there's nothing that came out of the Tillerson visit that suggests that this difference has been resolved.
Mm-hmm. Is that why Turkish officials have called this meeting disappointing, or called Tillerson's visit disappointing? And what could be the reasons behind the failure to make any progress on this very important issue?
Well, I think it was evident as soon as they started meeting that Tillerson was going to have a tough time. He tried to address some Turkish concerns. He didn't make any comments about Erdogan's domestic political policies, about the controversial referendum, about Erdogan's calling European leaders fascists, and so on. He tried to be very nice, said very pleasant things about Turkey and its commitment, but immediately became clear that the Turkish officials were upset about U.S. policy towards the Syrian conflict, also about the presence in the United States of the leader of a group, the Gulen group, which the Turkish government believes was involved in the coup last year, a coup attempt. And it does not appear they made any progress on any of these issues. So that's probably why they said they were disappointed. They would have liked the U.S., for example, to say we won't work with the YPJ and we'll turn over Gulen to trial in Turkey, but that did not occur.
So it is not happening, the kind of expected change of policy under the new U.S. administration from the Turkish side. But looking at the big picture, while Turkey is edging closer with Russia and also having this very important job to do together with the United States, what kind of difficult situation are we seeing these three major countries positioned at this particular moment?
Right, the Russia-U.S.-Turkey triangle is very interesting. And both Russia and Turkey had, the governments there had very high hopes when Trump was elected. They had difficulties with Clinton and Obama. They thought that Trump would work, for example, by accepting Assad as the president of Syria, would work to suppress any groups that they considered to be terrorists, would do other things, and they've been very disappointed that we've not seen changes. We haven't seen repeal of sanctions on Russia. We haven't seen Trump turn over Gulen, as I mentioned, to trial in Turkey. And there's basically a lot of continuities between Trump's foreign policy and that of Obama, and they're both disappointed, and I think we're seeing that drive them together. Which, just as an aside for your viewers, as you know, the Chinese fear has been that Trump would deviate rather than welcoming that. They feared that, and it seems he's actually heading back towards Obama's course as well there, and that I think we'll see next week when the President Xi comes here.
Mm-hmm. What do you look at the important issues that have to be addressed constructively between Turkey and the United States if they are going to come closer towards each other in the future? What would have to happen in your eyes?
Well, I think we're in a short-term crisis now because of the need to deal with the crisis, the conflict in Syria, and the question of the referendum that's about to occur in Turkey, and that's maybe making the Turkish officials take this strong stance on some issues. So I think that after the referendum occurs, the Turkish government may no longer be so critical of Western policies. I think that after Raqqa is captured, we may see the U.S. distance itself from the Kurds, provide more reassurance to Turkey about security. So I think we've got a difficulty in the next 2 weeks, but after that it's possible to see some of the sources of tension between the two countries fade.
Mm-hmm. Let's look at the potential consequence, the referendum that Erdogan is eyeing to win on the relationship Turkey has with the United States. What kind of changes it could possibly bring to bilateral ties, you think?
Right. The United States, as I said, under Trump, has not been as critical as many others have been. There are many in Europe and in the Congress here and elsewhere who have criticized Erdogan for trying to basically become an authoritarian leader, giving himself too much power, and not providing adequate recognition of the role of opposition groups, arresting journalists, and so on. The Trump administration has declined to make that criticism. And I think that the referenda outcome, if it goes well for Erdogan, that could remove a possible source of tension in the near term. If it fails, he may start looking for scapegoats, and then I worry that he'll blame the U.S. as well as Europe and so on. So it's actually an important issue.